are live.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you very much, Carl, and welcome to our first meeting for January and for the 2021. Hopefully this year it's been difficult for all of us. I know with the COVID, we're all trying to be safe and trying to do business different way. Before I open and I ask Diane or Angela to do a roll call to see whose board member are with us, please be patient with us today, this morning, because we're going to be on Zoom or on Team as usual. This is the way we've been doing and conducting our business in the past 7-8 months, and I guess we're going to keep doing that till making sure all our staff and our board member and everyone also safe. I hope that you all had a good and relaxed holiday. Hopefully we're coming off December. We'll spend some time and reflect with our family. And hopefully I wish that 2021 will be a little bit different and we'll put all this COVID behind us. I do have a couple of remarks. We have a new board member will be joining us today. I don't think they're online already with us. It's Mr. Guy Desjardins, Mayor of Clarence Rockland, and Mr. John Hunter, Councillor from Esmeralda Cardinal. So they are not with us. The minute they come in, we'll welcome them and we'll give them a minute to introduce themselves. In the meantime, I think everyone has the agenda, and I'll let Angela or Diane do a roll call, please.
Sure, Mr. Chair, I've got that for you. Angela here. So we have with us, obviously, Chair DeRuse. I see you loud and clear. Thank you very much. Past Chair Bill Smurl. And I see Past Chair Smurl is present. Thank you. Michael Brown, City of Ottawa.
Present.
Steve Densham.
Here.
Thank you, Steve Densham. Dana Farkashu.
I'm here.
Thank you. Jerry Couts. Jerry Couts, are you on the line with us?
I'm here.
There, I believe he's muted.
Thank you. Thank you. Catherine Kitts.
I'm here.
Thank you. I have regrets from Archie Mellon today. Francois Saint-Amour.
Here.
No, it's okay. I'm just.
Okay. Pierre Leroux.
Present.
And John Hunter replacing Peggy Taylor, first meeting. I believe John has not joined us yet. Guy Desjardins replacing Danielle Lafleur. And I do not believe Guy Desjardins has joined us yet. Okay, that is the roll call for now, Mr. Chair.
Thank you very much, Angela. And I know I want to thank actually Danielle and Peggy for their role and being part of our board director at South Nation. They've done an amazing job, and I wish them all the best. And I'm really happy to see that we have a new board member joining us very soon, and we'll be working collectively together. I also want to thank Angela and her team and all the South Nation staff. They've been doing an amazing job even through this difficult time. They're managing and they're able to service our watershed and our resident and our community. So thank you very much. Great job, well done. So thank you very much. Second item on the agenda, we have the approval of SNC, the Board of Director, main supplement agendas. Any changes, can the Board Director approve the January 21st, 2021 Board of Directors main and supplement agenda with the following amendment? A, move supplement agenda item 1.A, request for approval hazard land acquisition to follow main agenda. Item 12A, request approval land acquisition. And I have a mover and a seconder, please.
So moved, Bill.
Bill and Jerry. Any questions?
Mr. Chair, just to let you know, I believe that board member Guy Desjardins has joined us.
Okay. Good morning, Guy. How are you?
I'm fine. Good morning to everybody.
And thank you very much for joining us. And we're very happy to see you joining us on the board here. If you want to take a moment to introduce yourself and address the board member, of course, our staff and the people that are watching us on team this morning.
Okay, I'm Guy Desjardins. I'm Mayor of Clarence Rockland and part of the Prescott-Russell Council.
Thank you very much, Guy, for joining us this morning. I know that you and I have been working together last few years, and I'm very happy to see you joining our board. So welcome to the board, and I'll be more looking forward to be working with you in the near future.
Thank you.
Dana, you have a question.
No, I don't have a question. I'm trying to undo my hand and I don't know how to. Okay, I think I'm good. Thank you. Sorry.
Thank you very much, Dana. So we have a mover and a seconder, Jerry and Bill. Bill and Jerry, sorry. And do we have all in favor? Thank you. This is carried. Any declaration of conflict of interest? Seeing none, thank you very much. We have, as usual, our staff presentation. They'll do PowerPoint presentation for the board member, of course, and everybody on our team watching. And this is very important presentation because it gives an idea for all the board member and the people that they are watching us on team this morning, what is going on in the watershed and how staff is moving forward and servicing our community. So I will, without further ado, I'll ask the staff to start with the power presentation. Thank you.
Good morning, members of the board. The pleasure of starting us off this morning. Just a quick shout out to a project that we're about to begin work on, and this is a virtual field trip concept that we're working on for grades 7 to 9 students in our area. This is similar to the Student Summit you might recall from 2017 that we hosted in partnership with the Ministry of the Environment to bring students down to the St. Lawrence River. While we can't get students out of the classroom this year, and it's going to be even more challenging to get ourselves into those classrooms, this is a good alternative approach that we're working on with the province to get these students engaged in their local environment, wherever that may be. So there's additional information on this project on page 22 of your agenda package, and we're looking forward to discussing this as the months go on. Thank you.
Thank you very much, John. Any question for John? Thank you, John. Next is Michelle.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Good morning, everybody. In December last year, we were approached by Ducks Unlimited Canada to partner to provide support to them for new projects that they are completing this year. It's funding that they receive from the province, from the Ministry of Environment, Conservation and Parks, and they're looking for help in terms of getting approvals through the approvals process, specifically for fisheries. So we're going to provide that expertise and support for them to secure their project approvals. And we're also going to provide some fisheries knowledge for some of their wetland creation and maintenance projects. It's a gap that they wanted to fill, and they looked to us because they'd heard about our experience in the past. So there's a report later in the agenda that details this further. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Michelle. Any question for Michelle? And this is these are great projects, and we're really happy to see that we have a partnership with Duck Unlimited. And I know that during this meeting, we're going to have some more presentation. We'll be talking a little bit more in depth on that. So thank you very much, Michelle. Next is Sandra.
Good morning, board members. Nice to be back after the December holidays. So at the December meeting, the board approved the submission of the proposal to the Mohawk Council of Akwesasne to provide flood management mitigation strategy development services I am happy to announce that SNC has been awarded the contract. We are going to be the primary consultant, and the San Lawrence River Institute will be a supporting consultant. So what are we going to do? The objectives of this project is to perform a flood vulnerability gap analysis and collect flood data. We are going to recommend some future projects, floodplain projects, and also provide training on floodplain to their environmental field technician. So staff has made us aware that they have received a 2 months extension for the project completion. So we have scheduled our first meeting on January 29th, and we are going to be reviewing the contract with them.
Thank you very much, Sandra. Any question? Seeing none, thank you very much, Sandra. And next presenter will be Monique. Monique Sauvé from Building Official.
If Monique's not online, can I ask Allison?
Yep. I'll deliver this on behalf of Monique this morning.
Thank you.
So Monique is well known for this septic training course that she offers to installers. She offers this course in French language, which is obviously a huge asset in this area for many of our people looking to get this type of training. And this year she received a number of requests to give the training, but with the stay-at-home orders and the pandemic, we were forced to consider some adjustments to this program. So Monique has bravely decided to offer it virtually this year. She's going to receive support from communications on this, and we think it'll be really successful and help us maybe offer different courses like this virtually in the future. So we're looking forward to that occurring in February and March. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Allison, to present this on behalf of Monique. Next presenter, any question before we move forward?
One, Mr. Chair, when this presentation is available or made available, I suspect that board members will be able to listen in as well.
Those comments are noted, Bill, and we'll see what we can do, whether either providing a link or recording it in some fashion. And it will be in French as well, so just note that. But yeah, we can, I think recording it might be a really great idea.
Thank you.
Very good, well taken. Thank you very much, Bill. And I have Councillor Kit have her hands up. Do you have a question, Catherine?
Yeah, I was just wondering if the details of those workshops will be shared with us so that we can promote them, because I think residents in my ward, I have a very large population of French speakers that might be interested in participating. So.
Absolutely, we can share the information with you. We've got, I think, 2 sessions fully booked up, but it's something we offer every year, and we can offer if there's interest. Again, we do it in our less busy season for the septic folks, which is when the snow falls and they're not out running the roads. So yeah, definitely we'll provide you with that information and hopefully get a bit more interest in that program.
That's great. Thanks very much.
Thank you very much, Councillor Kit, for your question. We're very happy to have you again with us this morning. I know that you didn't have CPS, so we're taking this opportunity to have you with us in this meeting. So thank you. Next presenter is John.
Thank you, Chair. And along a similar thought as our virtual board meetings and a virtual septic training, we're doing our best to position as many of our annual workshops and meetings online as possible. And so this will include things like our annual flood forecasting and warning information session, which we will be hosting online this year. Generally, we host this workshop in February or March in advance of the spring freshet, and it's a really good opportunity to bring together all of our municipal emergency coordinators and first responders and give them a bit of an outlook onto what we're expecting in the St. Lawrence, South Nation, and Ottawa River. So we're looking forward to setting up this date. And further to Councillor Kit's comment, once all of our workshop dates are set, we do send a memo out to board members, so you have all the dates for all the meetings in the spring. So as we set these dates and finalize them with our speakers, we'll be reaching out to you to let you know the final dates. Thank you.
Thank you, John. Any question? I just have a comment. Thank you very much, John. I know this is very important, and I know this is a piece of a very flood is not going to stop. So, and I'm so happy to see that we're preparing this virtually and preparing our staff and having this communication in virtual to be prepared for. Hopefully, we'll never have a flooding this year. But as you know, that we can't stop Mother Nature. So, thank you very much for being proactive and doing those very important annual flood forecasting warnings. So, thank you. Next presenter is. I guess we have Sandra. Thank you.
Thank you. This is just an update on the 3 capital projects that they are taking place at our infrastructure. So we are replacing the gate heater and the fan at the Chesterfield Dam, and we are also assessing the integrity of the Chrysler dike. So these 2 projects were part of the 2020-2021 water erosion control infrastructure, and we received funding from Minister of Natural Resources for them. Those projects, both projects are moving forward on budget and on schedule. The third project is the Castleman-Weir concrete assessment. The project is also moving forward on budget and schedule, but we didn't receive funding from MNRF DC on 2020 for the project. We just received a call and were made aware that MNR is relocating some funding, and our project is in the top of the list and is being considered. So I will bring an update on this at the next meeting, but there is a potential for us to receive half of the cost of the project, which is around $30,000.
Thank you very much, Sandra. Any question for Sandra? Seeing none, thank you very much, Sandra. Next presenter is Omar. Is Omar online with us?
Yep. Good morning, members of the board. For the board members who don't know me yet, my name is Omar Kanan. I'm the Water Resources Specialist here at South Nation Conservation. I hope everyone's having a happy and warm and dry new year so far. Typically, holidays is a time where everybody unwinds and relaxes, but as Mr. Chair mentioned earlier, Mother Nature does not take time off. On December 24th, 2020, a weather system carrying up to 50 millimeters of rain and above freezing temperatures came through eastern Ontario, which caused some of the ice upstream of the Chesterfield Dam to break, and which, if not addressed immediately, may cause issues. I really can't emphasize the work and effort that the dam operators and the communications department and the engineering department have put in to make sure watershed conditions are monitored at all time, the Chesterfield Dam is operated properly, and that the water safety statement gets out in time. Here is a mesmerizing time lapse of the ice getting cleared at the Chesterfield Dam on Christmas morning. This
and
is
apologies for anyone that's watching. We have with the amount of snow we have too, there are some lags, with an internet connection. So we're hoping everything works as possible, but one thing at a time. In 2021, one thing at a time.
Mm-hmm. In summary, this is a 3-hour time lapse of what happened of the ice passing through the Chesterfield Dam on Christmas Day. It's really mesmerizing. It's really nice to see, and luckily everything went through safely.
Thank you, Omar.
Is it working now, Omar?
No.
On my computer, it's going through, but I'm not sure if it's going through everybody else's.
I'm watching it.
I'm able to see it live as well. It's Bill.
Oh, well, maybe it's just me then. It's not actually working. So I think it's just I think it's just steady state. I've got the play button, so maybe we should
I think we each individually have to hit play on our screen.
Oh, that seems questionable.
Because I just hit play and pause on mine.
Okay, I think we should
You're right,
probably.
yeah.
Yeah, okay, that sounds good. So everyone will have control of it. Maybe, maybe we can advance to the next slide, and hopefully, if anyone who got to see it, I hope you enjoyed it. And thanks, Omar. Apologies for the technical glitch.
Thank you, Angela. Next presenter is Sandra.
This is I have a report in the agenda to approve the flood and erosion hazard mapping along the Clarence Creek and tributaries. But I wanted to take a moment to show you in the map where Clarence Creek is located. So the Clarence Creek watershed drains into the Ottawa River. The Clarence Creek watershed is approximately 51 square kilometers. The creek itself is 22 kilometers in length, but we mapped only 6.5 kilometers of that creek. The area that was mapped is the area where development is happening. The remaining of the area of the watershed is agricultural or rural. So the floodplain mapping was completed in partnership with the United Counties of Prescott and Russell and the City of Clarence Rockland, with 50% of the funding coming from the National Disaster Mitigation Program in 2019. The erosion hazard and the regulation line were completed last year after Clarence Rockland showing us fully into our jurisdiction. I will give more information regarding this in my report.
Thank you very much, Sandra. Any question for Sandra? Thank you, Sandra. I really appreciate the report. I know this is very important, the flood hazard mapping in our community, so we appreciate all the work you and your team done. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next presenter is Michelle.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. At the end of last year, staff installed a new climate station at one of our properties just outside of Greeley. This station is part of a network of 12 climate stations in our jurisdiction, and it filled a gap in coverage area. So the data is automatically transmitted from the station into our water information system, where staff can use it for our flood forecasting and warning and low water response programs. And when we sent photos of the installation to the company that supplies all of the equipment, they actually said it was one of the best installations they've ever seen. So I think that's really speaks highly of our staff and the quality and attention they take when installing this equipment.
Thank you, Michelle. I think location also matter. I think that just because it's outside the Greeley, I think it's very important. I'm being wise. So thank you. Any question for Michelle?
Mr. Chair, I wanted to let you know that I did just admit new board member John Hunter to the meeting. So good morning, John.
Good morning.
Good morning, John, and I hope you're gonna enjoy the presentation. We'll give you a minute to introduce yourself right after staff presentation, if that's okay with you. Thank you, Michelle. Next presenter is Sandra.
Oh. Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. This slide is an update on the work that our GIS department is undertaking. This is one of the projects. They are updating the parcel data for Stormont, Dundas, and Glengarry and the United Counties of Prescott and Russell.
Yeah,
So the process...
Sorry, board member Hunter, can you put your speaker on mute, please? John Hunter, can you go on to mute?
Pardon?
Sorry, can you put your speaker on mute? Are you able to mute yourself just so that we don't have your whole conversation? There's a mute. If you just, do you find the button there?
I'm looking, I'm different. This team is different. We use Zoom all the time.
Okay, Carl will help you out.
Do it. You just have to try and find the unmute button on the screen if you want to speak.
There we go.
Okay, so can you hit that one more? There we go. Perfect. Thank you.
Go ahead, Sandra.
So, thank you. The process creates a robust data set that allows users to cross-reference parcel information with active planning or regulations files. So what we are aiming is to update the parcel layer approximately every 4 months, and our staff is trying to come up with automatic ways to do these updates. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Sandra. This is a very good presentation. Anyone have any question for Sandra concerning the presentation? Seeing none, thank you very much. Next presenter is John.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. This is an update from the presentation I shared back in December with the board. You might recall I walked you through a few of the different engagement tools and maps that we'll be using for our natural heritage study that we're completing on behalf of both counties, being Prescott Russell and Stormont Dundas and Glengarry. We are in the process of gearing up for our public meetings. Those dates have been set: February 9th for SDNG and February 10th for Prescott Russell. During these meetings, we're going to walk through how we came up with the proposed mapping, discuss the policy framework and updates we'll be proposing for our partner counties to consider, and we'll be going through different ways where residents and different stakeholders can meaningfully engage with us on these corridors, on these cores, and on the policies that are meant to protect them. So as part of this process, we've sent out nearly 100 different stakeholder letters with information on this project and the maps, and this also details ways for people to get in touch with us and to set up online meetings. So we're looking forward to this engagement through February, and of course, we'll be bringing updates back to the board as they come.
Thank you very much, John. And any question on the update from John? I see a hand. Anything, Mr. Desjardins? Go ahead.
Thank you. John, will there be any consequences for anybody clear cutting in some of these forests? Because right now it's all very nice to say that we've got a forest of importance, but it seems there's nothing we can do to stop it.
Of course, thanks, Mayor Desjardins, for that comment. I mean, this is something we're looking at as part of this process, right? Identifying those core areas that we'd like to protect in perpetuity means that we're going to have policies that are designed to protect them. And part of this process too is identifying core areas that are already in the public land trust. And you'll see in some of the maps I've shared, and perhaps I'll reach out to you as well, Guy specifically, but largely most of these tracts of forests are publicly owned. And so we are hoping that these policies designed to protect them are going to help from clear cutting.
What about privately owned?
That's part of the discussion.
Okay.
And we look forward to having it through February.
Thank you.
So basically, everything is on the table to discuss.
Of course, everything's on the table, and it will be up to the counties to decide how to update their official plans, but we're here to bring them the best information we can and to engage with as many people as possible to inform those decisions and those updates.
Thank you. I have a question for you, a couple more questions. First one is Vice Chair Leroux. Mayor Leroux, go ahead.
Thank you very much, Chair. It was just to mention that the policies that need to be put in place obviously are policies at the political level and not at the South Nation level. I mean, we don't have the authority to put those policies in place. So it'll be up to individual counties and municipalities to put proper policies in place for this subject.
Yeah, I agree with you, Mayor Leroux, because it's important that every county to implement their own bylaws and policy. But I mean, collectively working with South Nation, probably we can guide them and we can work together collectively on those policies. So thank you. I think Francois have a question for you still, John.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. Yes, it's just to echo Vice Chair's remarks. On private land, it comes down to mostly municipalities to enact the different rules or bylaws they want to do. I'll just speak for Prescott and Russell. The last time we talked about that at the county level, there was no appetite there. So it's down to municipality level if you want to go in certain directions like that. Thank you.
Certainly, Francois, the tree cutting bylaw, it is very hot topic in every community and in every county and city. So I echo your, I understand where you're coming from. I appreciate it. We appreciate the questions. Anyone?
Every time we even mention it, stuff like that, we lose 100 acres or more and more acreage because they just go hog wild and they anyway. They're not tree huggers.
Thank you, Francois. Any other question for John?
Mr. Chair, it's Bill. Not a question, but a comment. I believe the two municipalities, one in SDNG and one in Prescott Russell, have discussed and debated and are perhaps moving on this topic, but it hasn't gone quickly.
Yes, Bill, it was discussion happening last year, but we're still waiting for the outcome. You're 100% right on that one. Thank you very much, John. Next presenter, an update coming from.
It will be Pat.
Pat, sorry about that. There is a delay on the screen, so I have to wait to see who's the presenter, so thank you.
Good morning, everyone. Pat Pitts, Team Lead Property. This is just a slide on our forest operations. They continue throughout most of the year. This is our first operation in 2021. It's on the SDG County Forest in the Warwick Forest Tract, just east of Berwick. It's an operation of 26 hectares. It's a thinning of a second thinning in red pine, white spruce, Norway spruce, and white pine. We're looking at harvesting over 1,200 cubic meters of wood. As I said, the operation started on January 4th, and it will be finishing up this week. The public has been very patient with us. We temporarily closed the Warwick Trail, southern portion of the Warwick Trail, to accommodate this operation. We did give advance public notices of those closures.
Thank you very much, Pat. I hope this is not impacting the winter activity, as people want to just go out and in this difficult time, just enjoy the outdoors. So thank you very much. I have a question to you from Steve.
No, it's not a question, more a comment. And so thank you, Pat, for again caring for the forest. My wife and I, especially with COVID, have been walking in that forest probably 5 out of 7 days a week. And I really appreciate the fact that we actually have the northern section to be able to walk through. I know it's closed temporarily for cleanup and grooming after the snowfall we had, but it's important. The work that's done by you and your team is very important to keep the trails healthy. And there are some very beautiful spots when you walk through that particular trail. And again, I think it only remains beautiful when it's properly attended to. So thanks to you and your team for looking after the forest.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Steve, for your comment and compliment to the staff. And it's very important to actually highlight the great work they do in our community. So we appreciate it. Our next presenter is Jeff. And I'm not
Before you go on, can I have one comment, Chair?
Please go ahead, Bill.
And that is Pat didn't say this, but it's supporting what he's putting forth. Part of maintaining a healthy forest is regular thinning and working every 20 years or so within it. So that's worth noting, I think.
Dick, I agree with you, Bill. Thank you very much. Any other comment or question for Pat? Thank you very much, Pat. Next presenter, an update coming from Jeff, but I'm not sure Jeff is here. But
yes, I'm here this morning.
Oh my God! Thank you very much for joining us, Jeff.
Well, thank you very much, Chair Derouz, for allowing me to participate in the meeting this morning. It's my pleasure, and a big welcome.
Frank here. It's the second coming of Mr. Owens.
well. I do appreciate the compliments and the positive feedback from our friendly board members, and I want to say a welcome to the new ones and look forward to getting to know you. Like I've known some of these great folks that are sitting around the table or the virtual table today. So we're talking about trees this morning. How can we protect some of the trees? And this particular complaint that came in was exactly that, a very large tree clearing operation that was taking place down in South Dundas. And so because it's adjacent to and within partially provincially significant wetland, the Conservation Authorities Act is able to speak to that under Section 28 regulations. So we went down there, met with the landowners, and confirmed here's the boundary of the provincially significant wetland, and the tree clearing, clear cutting is not something that's can be allowed in those zones. And although that the contractor had left what he thought was a reasonable buffer, it wasn't quite large enough. So what we did was negotiated a restoration plan, and we're going to be revisiting the site in the spring to see if we're going to need to add some trees because they feel that a lot of these are just going to reseed and come up anyway, but we will confirm if adding some extra trees to that restoration is going to be appropriate. So it's kind of a quasi-positive story. The downside is outside of that actual designation of provincially significant wetland, those trees are not protected, so they were cut and allowed to be harvested. But it's a start and it's something. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Jeff, and we really appreciate the work you do on in the field. And I know that all the education and you working with landowner and addressing all these complaints that they come through us, it's a reflection of our organization and how our staff and our board member are really working very hard into making sure keeping our watershed protected. So thank you. I know Allison did a very good job in the past meeting presenting your presentation. It's so nice to see you here this morning.
Thank you.
Any question or comment for Jeff?
Mr. Chair, it's Mike Brown from Ottawa. I just wanted to say to Jeff, it's good to hear your voice. You hadn't seen you in a little while, and or heard you in a little while, and Happy New Year.
Thank you. Same to you, sir.
Thanks, Michael. Any other comment or question? Seeing none, thank you very much, Jeff. Next update and presenter is.
That concludes the slideshow for this morning.
So thank you very much, Angela. Before we move forward outside this, I appreciate the update and the presentation from staff. There is a side for some of the board members, just so you know, there was side chat on happening while we are having presentation, and one of it is there was a question from Dana if there's any training session for the septic in English. When Monique had, of course, Monique is doing all these virtual presentation, and the answer came from Angela and Allison that it is yes, and Rideau Valley Conservation Authority offers same training in the English language, just to the information of the board member. Thank you, and Steve, go ahead, please.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. As we look at the PowerPoint, one thing that I really noticed is that there's a lot of really good material that could be used for education purposes. And given the state of our schools and COVID, I know that parents are looking for opportunities, and often, sometimes I bump into parents on the Warwick Trail who are taking their kids out on scavenger hunts and things such as that. And that's really exciting to hear. Now, I know that there is an effort, and John, I think it's led by you, to produce education material. But I wonder maybe at our next meeting if you could help us better understand what type of education tools are available, and I'd love for that to be able to share that with with schools and generally on Facebook, even with parents who are struggling with ideas on how to make schooling even more meaningful and interactive as they often have to homeschool their kids. So I'm just wondering if that's something we could get a little better handle on, all the different tools that are available. I think the board would benefit in understanding that and potentially sharing that.
Of course. Thank you, Councillor Densham. I'll try and put together a few updates for our next board meeting to share.
Thank you.
Thank you, Steve. And we have another question. Bill, I think I saw your hands up.
Thanks, Mr. Chair, and I wanted to make a comment, and the comment is you will have noticed, and this supports what you said earlier, Mr. Chair, you'll have noticed that even during these challenging times, our staff has been very active, they've adapted, and they continue to innovate to be able to meet the needs and to present us with an excellent program. So just a compliment to them at this stage. And secondly, for new members, it's worth noting that there are only 2 authorities in Ontario that work in French as well as English, and we are one of them. Thank you, sir.
I agree with you. Thank you very much, Bill. So thank you very much for staff. We move, seeing there's no more question or comment. Thank you all for the presentation, and we'll move forward to our number 5 in our agenda. It's a request for approval Board of Directors meeting minutes of December 17, 2020. Recommendation, the members approve the Board of Directors meeting minutes of December 17, 2020 as submitted. Can I have a mover and seconder, please?
I'll move, Mr. Chair. Michael Brown.
Michael and Steve, I see that. Thank you. Any Any comment or any question? All in favor? Thank you. And before we move to our new business, oh, sorry, Bill, go ahead.
Sorry, Mr. Chair, I was just agreeing with by showing my hand.
Don't worry. Before we move to our new business, I want to give an opportunity to Mr. John Hunter that he joined us this morning, replacing Peggy, to have introduce himself. And if you have the floor, if you want to say anything or share anything with the board member, John, we're very happy to have you here this morning with us. Probably he's on mute or I can't see him, but we'll give him another opportunity later. So moving forward to our new business. You'll find it on the page 1415 in your agenda package, and it is a recommendation is for banking purpose. The authority signing officer be one of chairman, vice chairman, or past chairman, and one of the general manager / secretary, treasurer, directors, organization effectiveness, or leader team lead. Corporate services for all other purposes that fall within their signing limit, and or there is a road resolution, board resolution, any of the above. And
It's a really long one, Mr. Chair. Do you want me to take it?
you go ahead, take it from here, please.
All right. The next further that, I promise we are not known for these long resolutions, but I will help Mr. Chair read this in. The first further that, number one, signing officers are authorized to borrow up to $1 million for the operation of South Nation River Conservation Authority if required. Number two, staff be authorized to continue the use of alternative signatures such as the signature stamp for signing checks up to $10,000 or other limits requested by the Board of Directors, or any other electronic signatures introduced in conjunction with our accounting software. These tools are in the custody of the Director of Organization Effectiveness, that's currently Linda Hutchinson. The Director may delegate the use of these tools to his or her designate. Number three, staff continue to utilize various banking features to make payments more cost efficient for SNC. For example, the use of internet banking, electronic fund transfer, ETF, and or by other electronic means. All payments are presented regularly to the Board of Directors for approval in the monies received and disbursement register for the period. Number four, the law firm of Alton Winchester be appointed as solicitor for general authority business, and that Eamon Harden, Ottawa, be appointed as the authority's human resource legal counsel at a total approximate cost of $40,000 plus HST on an annual basis. Where in the best interest of the authority, staff may engage other specialized legal services, period. Number five, the chartered accountant firm of Baker Tilly REO LLP, Winchester, be appointed auditors at an approximate cost of $24,500 plus HST, and management sign an engagement letter. And finally, number six, the Royal Bank Winchester branch be the authority banking and signing officers. The Winchester, number six, I'll reread. The Royal Bank Winchester branch be the authority bank and signing officer sign the banking services contract, period.
Thank you, Angela. I know this is a long resolution, but this is a normal practice at the beginning of every year, just an information for our board member. And we do that year after year at the beginning of our year. So thank you very much, Angela. Can I have a mover and seconder? And then if we have, then we open for question. I see Bill and Jerry. Any question or a comment or anything concerning? Thank you very much, board member. All in favor? Motion carried. Thank you very much. Move to B, update. We have a recommendation. The board director receive and file the update on the Ontario Ministry of Agriculture, Food and Rural Affairs proposed regulations implementing the 2020 amendments to the Drainage Act. Can I have a mover and seconder, please? I see Bill and Pierre. Any question or comment for Sandra? Yeah, Sandra, you have any presentation or anything?
Yeah, I can go quickly through the report.
Please, go ahead.
Yes. So the Ontario Minister of Agriculture, Food and Rural Affairs, which is OMAFRA, is proposing new minister regulations to implement the amendments made to the Drainage Act. So the amendments include provide a simplified process for minor improvements to municipal drains, simplify the process for approving updates to engineers' reports for changes to the design made during construction, and finally, the adoption of the Drainage Act and Conservation Authorities Act protocol, which is a DART protocol by reference. So there was several webinars. Staff attended the webinar that OMAFRA offered for conservation authorities, and it looks pretty good. It looks like these changes is going to move forward, faster the approvals. However, we had two little concerns that we sent to the environmental registry via Conservation Ontario. Our concerns are in South Nation watersheds, there is many municipal drains, and some of them are 25 to 30 years old. So that reports, they are not specific. They don't have any design in them. So it's going to be very difficult to realize if there is any impacts when we do one of these minor improvements to the municipal drain, because there is nothing backing up the information. And the second concern is that every time that they talk about minor improvements, they were talking about farmlands, what it can happen in the farm. It can be a crossing, it can be a culvert in the farm. But the municipal drain in our area is also being used to ensure that there is an outlet, a legal outlet for urban areas. So there was no mention of any examples of minor improvements in urban developments. So we put that two comments for their consideration. So if you have any questions.
Thank you very much, Sandra. This is important, and I know the Drainage Act is very complicated, and I know that there is a lots of policy and rules around it, and it is very complicated file. And thank you very much for bringing the update. And I think the board will support you on your comment back to the ministry. So, any other question? Yes, go ahead.
Mr. Chair, it's Michael Brown. Sandra, I just wanted to say, yeah, I echo the chair's comments. I deal with the Drainage Act in my own practice, and candidly, it is probably, if I'm not mistaken, it's actually one of the oldest pieces of legislation in Ontario. And it is also easily the most highly litigated piece of legislation in Ontario. And it's a very challenging act to work with. I particularly find it frustrating that the act does allow for certain private drainage agreements between private owners, but it's also quite oblique in terms of what are the standards for those private drainage agreements. It's kind of bizarre to me that you can say in section, I think it's 2 of the act, that you can enter into a drainage agreement with your neighbor, but there's pretty much no standards as to what those drainage agreements must include or don't include or whatever. And it always puzzles me why the province doesn't give us a little bit of guidance as to what would you expect in a drainage agreement between private landowners. Anyway.
I agree, Michael. Thank you very much for your comment.
Mr. Chair, through you, I did want to say that we provided comments on this piece last year as well, and we were happy to see changes in there. We put these in specifically because the municipalities had asked us for them. And if a drainage project was known that it was going to require additional maintenance or result in additional maintenance costs, that it would have to go through the regular process and not be something that could be done through the simplified process. So I think that was particularly important, especially what we were hearing with some of the sedimentation and erosion happening and the need for the municipalities to do additional cleanouts on those drains. So we were happy to see those changes.
Thank you, Angela, for the clarification.
Question there.
Go ahead, Mr. Hunter.
When we were requiring some input into this Drainage Act, through Edwardsburg Cardinal, as you know, we have the Edwardsburg Land Bank that we're dealing with at present there, and there's lands in there that have been drained over the years with award ditches. Is there anything being added into the Drainage Act to allow a simplification of converting these award ditches over into municipal drains? Because we've, as you know, down with South Branch a few years ago, we had, it's not an easy thing in Edwardsburg Cardinal getting these ditches clean. I wondered if there's been any uptake on trying to simplify the matter of getting these ditches converted over.
So,
Mr. Chair, through you, staff can follow up with Mr. Hunter specifically on it, and I'll assign that to Sandra, and I think she can maybe see what the situation is and give a hand there. I don't know exactly how, if the simplified process would apply to the situation, and I think right now with the changes happening so rapidly, it's important to sort of have a good handle on what the changes are and what the site specifics of the site are, and I think that's the best way to be of good assistance is to have a look at it for you, John.
Well, I'd appreciate that if you could get in touch with Dave Grant, our CEO, on it, and myself in the future. It'd be appreciated.
Yeah, I will
Thank
email.
you.
Yes, no problem. Thank you.
Thank you, John. And I think Sandra and Angela is on it, and they'll follow up with you after. Any other comment or question? So we do have a recommendation in front of us, and I have a mover and seconder, Bill and Pierre, all in favor? You have all the dates. Thank you. Motion carried. Next item on the agenda is item C, 6C at page 1718. We have a recommendation. The board director receive and file the update report on Fisheries Act amendment and consultation, and that will be presented by Michelle. Can I have a mover and seconder that so we can? I could see Steve and Jerry. Michelle, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So another piece of legislation, this one federal, that has gone through some changes over the past number of years is the Fisheries Act. So in 2012, it was changed by the federal government, and then in 2018, additional changes were proposed to bring it back to kind of its former state, where it had language around harmful alteration, disruption, and destruction of fish habitat. So it received royal assent, became law on June 21st, and officially came into force on August 28th, both of 2019. The new Modernized Fisheries Act changed the way that South Nation worked with proponents for some of their projects in and around water. In the past, we had an agreement with Fisheries and Oceans Canada to provide review services on their behalf, and that changed when the Act was changed. We were no longer able to provide that service on behalf of Fisheries and Oceans. But our board at the time felt it was important to still provide support to our residents and our municipalities in terms of getting their approvals through the Fisheries Act. So what we've been doing is we've been working alongside Fisheries and Oceans staff. We've been really fortunate to be able to get to know some of the staff working in our area. It hasn't always been easy. They've changed quite frequently. So we've persevered, and we've gotten to know some of the staff quite well now, to the point where they reach out to us very often for information about the watershed areas, different water courses where they've received requests for project reviews. So since August of 2019, we've assisted 22 watershed residents or agricultural producers, municipalities, and businesses to complete different projects and to help them gain their approvals from Fisheries and Oceans. So we've maintained that effective relationship, and we continue to be the only known conservation authority that offers this level of service to our watershed residents. So this helps the residents gain that knowledge that they need of the system where they want to do their project, and it also helps with our relationships with Fisheries and Oceans as well. We can help streamline that process for residents. So a couple of the projects that we've helped out with recently are listed there for you. There was a maintenance dredging that was done by the St. Lawrence Parks Commission at their Chrysler Park Marina. We've also helped with some watercourse crossings for different farm fields. We've helped with repairing docks and the boat launches at the Lefebvre Marina, and as well as some erosion control projects along the South Nation River in Castleman. The next step that the federal government is taking in terms of some of the changes that have happened with the Fisheries Act, some of the modernization they're going through, is they've set up this new engagement platform, and the website is there in the report if you'd like to take a look. And this platform is set up to allow people to take a look at all the new pieces of frameworks or policies or different instruments that Fisheries and Oceans has developed to help help people with their projects and understand the importance of why they need to protect fish and fish habitat and what are their different options for their projects to be able to get their approvals. So the engagement activities include webinars, there's commenting periods, and it's going to occur all throughout 2021. And their goal is to release a new engagement framework in the fall of 2021. So we continue to keep our eye on this. We're providing an insight into Eastern Ontario's perspective. We're also attending a lot of these webinars and providing comments back to Fisheries and Oceans so that they can understand the Eastern Ontario perspective and how we see some of these activities happening in this area. There's actually a webinar today, this afternoon, about offsetting and cumulative effects. So we'll be listening in on that one and providing our feedback. And the website's available. Anyone can take a look, provide comments. The point is to have as many people engage as possible into this.
Thank you very much, Michelle. This is very good information, and we're very happy to see the work you've been doing in partnership with Fishery and Ocean, and of course helping streamlining the project for our resident and our watershed. So that's a very strong relationship. So thank you. We have a few questions for you. I think Francois is the first. Francois, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. All right, Michelle, DFO, do they have an enforcement branch, and do they hand out fines and stuff like that?
Yes.
Okay, and ordinary folks can make some complaints to them directly?
Yes.
Okay, I guess they just have to go through the websites and stuff like that.
Yes, and they have contact information available. I can provide that to you, Francois, if you're interested.
Yeah, I'd be interested with that because I get complaints. I just heard one not too long ago where South Nation's not tough enough when it comes to water course tampering. That's just a comment, okay? And I won't tell you who, okay?
Okay.
Bye-bye. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thanks, Francois. We have a question for you, Michelle, from Guy.
Yes, thank you, Mr. President. Will this make things easier on the Ottawa River when we come to do projects of some kind? Because I know sometimes with everybody involved, including Quebec Hydro and all this, it's quite complicated.
Yeah, that's their goal is to get all that feedback from people who are affected and to see how they can improve their process either through different frameworks or policies, perhaps. So the more feedback they can receive on that, the better.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Guy. And any other question? I don't see any other hand. So thank you very much, Michelle, for the update. And we do have a motion in front of us. It was Steve and Jerry for second, and thank you very much. And the next item is agenda number 6D, page 19, request for approval 2021 student and recent graduate hiring program. A recommendation: the board of directors approve the student and recent graduate hiring program at an approximate of $99,200 pending successful fundraising efforts, and further that the board of directors approve applying for additional grant received in the past, including but not limited to Canada Parks and Recreation Green Job Initiative Program, $5,500, Eco Canada Internship Program, $15,000, Eco Canada Student Work Integrated Learning Program, $10,000, National Trust Canada Young Canada Works Program, $8,000, and Service Canada, which is, sorry about that, I can't see it.
It's Service Canada, Canada Summer Jobs, 1,500.
Thank you. It's just my bar is blocking this motion. So can we have a mover and seconder, and then we can open discussion. So I see Francois and Guy. Thank you. Carl, You want to add anything or?
Just a few notes. Thank you, Mr. Chair, and good morning, board members. We will be maintaining an agile approach to the student program this year. It's something that's very important to South Nation, and we want to continue it. But the nature of it has changed because of COVID. Last year, as things were unfolding, we reduced the number of students that we brought in, but we aimed more for a longer term engagement with the students. So we, over the summer, worked with 3 co-ops and 1 intern, and we kept 2 of those co-op students on into the fall on part-time arrangements, which has worked really well. It just reduces the, it's good for us, it's good for them, and it reduces the issue of onboarding staff during, work from home and the current emergency situation. So we're maintaining another a similar agile approach this year, watching how things unfold and looking how we can bring in students but give them a high quality experience as well. So we'll be keeping you posted on that. We currently have 2 of last year's co-ops on part-time contracts with us while they're still in school now, and we'll be keeping those folks on and bringing at least a couple more in over the summer.
Thank you very much, Carl. I appreciate it. I think I see Bill has his hand up. Bill?
Yes, Mr. Chair. I'm looking at the recommendation, and the 99,200, is that our share or is that including what's below? In other words, what percentage do we pay and what percentages are we attempting to get?
That's our share in budget, and then there is another budgeted amount for grant revenue, which is the 44,000. And that will change. We've had some very successful years where we've got more in, and then we're able to reduce the amount of SNC's share quite drastically. So we try hard and we push hard, and it depends on the student programs that are on offer.
So supplementary, Mr. Chair. So all of these programs, they do not insist that that we pay up to 50%. In many cases, it can be much less than that, and even entirely paid by grants. Am I correct?
It can be 25 to 75% that we contribute. It depends. It's usually more like 50, and a lot of the federal ones that are out there, we end up paying about 25-30%. So that's where the budget and the forecast revenue comes into it.
Thank you.
Thank you, Bill. Thank you, Carl, for answering the question. Any other question or comment? Seeing none, we have a mover and seconder. All in favor? Thank you very much. Motion carried.
Thank you.
Agenda item 6E, page 20 to 21. We have an update Ducks Unlimited Canada partnership, and we have a recommendation. The board of directors receive and file the update on a new partnership with Ducks Unlimited Canada to provide fishery support and expertise for their wetlands conservation partner programs. Can I have a mover and seconder, please? I see Dana and Michael. Thank you very much. Michelle, I know you have some update for us.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. So this is the partnership that I spoke about in the slideshow. So in early December, the Ontario government announced that $30 million will be provided to help conservation organizations create and restore wetlands in priority areas. So the new Wetlands Conservation Partner Program is focusing on restoration projects in the Great Lakes watersheds. In the first year of this 5-year program, the province has partnered specifically with Ducks Unlimited Canada, and they've been provided $6 million to complete over 60 projects in 2021. And the deadline is the end of the year for 2021, so it's quite an ambitious target for Ducks Unlimited. So they, like I said, they reached out to South Nation. They also reached out to the Rideau Valley Conservation Authority for some assistance, in obtaining their approvals for the projects. So Ducks Unlimited is familiar with our collective experience and success in working on these project approvals, and requires staff that have the expertise and knowledge on fish habitat and those relationships with fisheries and oceans to help them through the process of getting their reviews, because completing over 60 projects in a year is going to be challenging, and we don't want to have anything held up with waiting for reviews. So our role is going to include assisting with different partnership approaches with fisheries and oceans. We're working on looking at developing a way to streamline these projects to include them in batches so that they can be looked at more quickly. We're going to be helping provide some specific fisheries advice in terms of how to implement the wetland construction projects to minimize impacts to fish and fish habitat. And we're going to be also providing some assessment, remote assessment of specific wetland projects to help them predict the fish community and fill out those requests for reviews that are necessary for fisheries and oceans. So we have the existing knowledgeable and experienced staff who can do this work, and that was why Ducks Unlimited reached out to us. And we're currently working on an agreement with Ducks Unlimited to do this work for 2021. So a detailed report is going to be brought back to the board once we have a draft of that service agreement.
Thank you very much, Michelle. This is very good update, and we're very happy and looking forward for the full reports coming up in 2021. And that's to show that the strong partnership and the hard work that our staff has been doing with our partnership. And I want to, Angela's been busy, very busy working with Ducks Unlimited. I know that behind the scene there is a lots of moving pieces and negotiations. So thank you very much. We appreciate it as a board, of course. So thank you. Any comment or question for Michelle or Angela, by the way, on this topic? Bill?
Thanks, Mr. Chair. Over the years, this has been a really good partnership. The question I have is, are the dollars that are being supplied paying 100% of this when we go into the agreement, or do we have some dollars we put in as well?
It'll be a fee for service arrangement through Mr. Chair, and it is going to be fully compensated by DU, the contributions made by our staff.
Thank you.
As much as you know, Bill, there is the ministry did some new policies and changes in the funding and the model, and I think this is one of the piece of that. Some of the funding that is going to go to Ducks Unlimited, and then they're going to probably work with with CAs for implementing those projects. Right, Angela?
I think this is a good first step to show that we can be a good partner and work together.
Thank you, and thank you, Bill, for your yes. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
We do have a recommendation. We have a mover and seconder. Can all in favor? Thank you very much. Motion it's carried. The next item in the agenda is 6F. You can find it on agenda page 22. Request for approval, Ottawa St. Lawrence River virtual field trip. Recommendation: the board of directors approve entering into an agreement with the province of Ontario to accept approximately $15,000 to support creating a virtual Ottawa and St. Lawrence River field trip for grade 7 and 9 students. Thank you. And can I have a mover and seconder so we have some question for John? I see Catherine and Pierre. Thank you. Any question or any comment? John, you want to elaborate a little bit more on that?
Sure, of course, Mr. Chair. Just a few comments from me. As I alluded to in the beginning, we've partnered with the province through their Great Lakes office to support the development of virtual Great Lakes field trips in an effort to bring students, virtually to their local watersheds to inform key science and geography curriculum objectives. The Great Lakes office has selected 5 different agencies in the province to help lead this initiative with the goal of having a specific virtual field trip for each of the Great Lakes basins. And so obviously our reach is the Great Lakes and Ottawa River as they form part of that watershed and feed into the Atlantic Ocean. And we were selected based on our past experience with the 2017 Student Summit and with our training experience with the Specialist High Schools Majors program that we've discussed in the past. So really great to be selected as the Eastern Ontario lead. I think it speaks volumes to some of our integration with our education and stewardship programs in the past. So really looking forward to it. This project is a quick turnaround with, of course, the March 31st deadline approaching, but over the next few months, we feel confident that we can use the pilot project created by St. Clair Region Conservation Authority last year to develop something that will work for Eastern Ontario. And so once this is approved, we'll begin working with our key Indigenous partners, and of course, our school board leads that helped us put together our last successful student summit. Thank you.
Thank you very much, John. Any comment or question for John? I just had I just have not a question, a comment, man. I'm so happy to see that how we are adapting to the new actually virtual life that we're having. COVID brought all this, but I'm assuming and I'm thinking maybe we can learn a little bit for the future. We might have to be able to deliver some programs in this kind of. Are we keeping track on hopefully we'll keep track on our participation and how our virtual programs moving forward to basically to compare in the future to see how the attendance and how we are addressing and delivering those programs.
Of course, Mr. Chair, and our goal here too is that these sorts of initiatives are going to complement the work that we already do, not replace them. This hopefully wouldn't replace students coming out to our MAPLE program in future years, but something like this will help complement and bring students to our stewardship projects and sites in the future.
Exactly. Thanks, John. I have Mr. Bill's hands up. So, Bill, you have questions?
Just strongly supporting the comments you just made, Mr. Chair. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Bill. Any other question or comment? Seeing none, all in favor? Thank you very much, John. Motion carried. We have our next item is 6F, page 22 on your agenda, request for approval funding application. And the recommendation is the board directors approve the submission of the following funding applications. 1, Ontario Power Generation OPG Regional Biodiversity Program requesting up to $225,000 over 3 years for the biodiversity enhancement projects. And can I have a mover and a seconder before Rhonda's give us a few comments? I see Dana and Steve. Thank you. Rhonda?
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and good morning, members of the board. For the benefit of those that are just joining us recently, we have been partnering with Ontario Power Generation for a number of years, and we've delivered 3 contracts under the Regional Biodiversity Program. We're currently in the 2nd year of that 3rd contract. This is another opportunity that's just opened up for another submission to the program. So again, they're offering up to $225,000 for projects that focus on biodiversity, conservation, restoration for habitats, and protection of species at risk. The focus this year for OPG is on partnerships with Indigenous communities. So of course, we have a strong working relationship with our First Nation partners, and we're currently looking at what projects we can submit jointly through this call of proposals, which is due on the 4th of February.
Thank you very much, Rhonda. Any question or comment? Seeing none, we have a mover and seconder. All in favor? Motion carried. Thank you very much. We're moving to agenda item number 6H, and it's page 25-26 on your agenda. Request for approval, flood and erosion hazard mapping. Recommendation, the board directors receive and file Clarence Creek flood hazard and erosion hazard mapping reports and associated maps as the best information available to establish flood hazard and regulation limits along the watercourse, and further that the reports and maps be used by South Nation Conservation's Planning and Regulations Program and other watershed management activities effective immediately. I'll have a mover and a seconder before we move to Sandra. I see Francois and Guy. Thank you. And then Sandra, you have a comment, please go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And this is a report that I mentioned during my slide. You already saw the mapping. So to present these mappings, we brought to you in October 2020 SNC updated public consultation plan. The change was usually our public open houses, they are in person. So due to the COVID-19 pandemic, we come up with a plan to do it digital. It was a great job done by our communications department, and they prepare and we hosted on November 12th an online public information session on the new hazard maps. that developed for the Clarence Creek and their tributaries. So we invited 67 property owners. These property owners are the ones that live in the regulated area. And we also invited stakeholders. It was a public notice that it was published 20 days before of the meeting in La Visión, which is a newspaper in Clarence, Rockland. Also, we promoted through South Nation website, social media, and in a press release. The live stream of our information session was viewed 61 times and in our SNC YouTube channel. Staff presented the draft maps and they talk about the actual natural hazards, and they also talk about development approvals and our programs and services. After that, we offer individual meetings with residents that they wanted more one-on-one meeting and explanation of the hazards. We met with 3 private owners and with a consultant and developer to discuss more further the hazard maps and their implications. We received a comment regarding the hazard map in the development area, and we actually move ahead and make changes to the line based on that comment. The rest of the public feedback received didn't have any implications on the regulation limit. And today I am bringing it to you for final approval so we can share it with Minister of Natural Resources and the United Counties of Prescott and Russell.
Thank you very much, Sandra. This is, I know, lots of intensive work, and I know that it's complicated, and I know that lots of consultation with developers and landowners. So thank you very much for all these efforts. I have a question for you from Guy, Mayor Desjardins.
Yes, could we, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Could we get a copy of that at the Clarence Rockland?
Definitely, yes. We have been working very closely with your staff. They already saw the maps. They had the maps from 2019. These ones is with the regulation line. Definitely, you will get a copy, not only a copy of the map, also the digital layer for them to use.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Mayor Desjardins. Any other question or any comment to Sandra? This is, I guess, Mayor Desjardins is very happy with that. We do have a mover and a seconder. Can all in favor? Thank you. Motion carry. I see how Guy put his hands so fast up.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Sandra. Moving to item 6I on the agenda, page 27 to 29, and we do have an update of the City of Ottawa official plan. Recommendation Board Director receive and file the City of Ottawa official plan updates, and I do have Michael and Jerry, mover and the seconder, and I'll give the floor to Allison.
Thank you very much. So I wanted to provide an update on something that's quite exciting for the city. It's the formal process to update the official plan. And this is significant because the first official plan, that the one we've built off of for years, actually dates back to 2003. So this will be a brand new official plan for the City of Ottawa. And I think at a staff level and council level, they have set really ambitious goals to become the most livable mid-sized city in North America. It does a lot of very cool things, which I could, probably professionally nerd out about for quite a while. But for the purposes of the report, I'll focus on the aspects that affect the CA business. So one of the biggest practical changes, as I've noted in the report, will be the urban expansion lands. So these are lands that are currently within rural designation outside of the city that will be opened up for more development. And although the report says we did not have access to that information at the time, we do now have those areas and we've taken a look. So I can speak to 2 major areas within our watershed, which are in the Leitrim and Finley Creek area and within the Orleans South area. So that represents potentially about 300 hectares of new development lands. And with those lands come a lot of different planning studies. Stewardship can get involved in this. Engineering is involved in a lot of infrastructure review. It generates quite a bit of work, which is great. It builds new communities and it makes sure things are going to be healthy. And 15-minute communities are really the focus for the city. I know that there's an upcoming meeting on Monday where I'm assuming certain members of council will be locked in a room potentially for days and days and days, debating these areas, debating the merits of all of this. But the staff reports are very well done. There's lots of information there to help councillors and committee members make a final decision. I'll note as well that there's an interesting area referred to as a new community area, and also known as the Taywin lands. And this is a very, very large block of land, which is to the south, actually stretching almost from Finley Creek out to Boundary Road at Amazon. It's about 3,000 hectares of land. And should this area be included as a new community area, obviously this would be a very large project within the South Nation watershed. And there are challenges associated with those lands as presented. So again, the staff reports were very interesting to read, and we're still digesting them. But in the interim, the Ministry of Municipal Affairs has formally asked the CA to comment on the draft official plan text. The three CAs, being Rideau, Mississippi Valley, and South Nation, have worked together to draft staff level comments back to the ministry. So these are staff comments on things like natural hazards, natural heritage, source water protection, and stormwater and infrastructure planning. We've participated in the review of this official plan for many, many years, definitely intensively for the past 3 years. And I have to say it's been it's been great how staff have involved the CA. We've gone to in-person meetings, we've done virtual meetings, we've done track changes, edits of actual policy. So we've been very engaged by the city. And although there were some comments that did not make it into the draft, at a staff level, I feel like we've been engaged spectacularly. We've also really benefited from our engineering team being part of these meetings, and they've offered a lot of value to to the city staff. Sorry, so shout out to Sandra and her team as well. In the long term, we'll probably be reviewing these expansion lands. We'll be working on policy edits with staff. We'll be working with the Ministry of Municipal Affairs where we have major issues that need to be resolved. We do represent the province for natural hazards on this review. So it's very important that we put our time and attention into this and make sure that the policies are clear and fair and also work well with our CA regulations. So with that, there's a bit more information contained in the report, but I think that's good for now. If there's any questions, I'd be happy to take them.
Thank you very much, Alison, that you did sum it very well. It was a very comprehensive report, and it is actually a brand new official plan, and that's what staff, that's from the beginning, that was their agenda and that was their direction. They didn't want to really build on what we've had because, to be honest, we haven't had it, like you mentioned, our official plan since amalgamation, and this is totally brand new one. Totally look at all the villages and all the land that we have in our city. So I'm very excited and I'm happy that you very highlighted that you work with staff and you've reviewed all the comment. And I know that there is a lots of work ahead of us, but it's a very good news for CAs, for South Nation and the City of Ottawa working together collectively in the future. So thank you very much. I know it's going to be long meetings coming up with us, but we're looking forward for it. So
I feel for you guys.
Thank you. I know Councillor Kitts and I have been really, really working very hard. We have a lots of work together collectively in both of our ward because we join those boundaries, and then we're looking forward to have a very good meeting coming up. So thank you. Any other comment or question for Alison concerning the official plan of the City of Ottawa? Seeing none, thank you very much, Alison, Sandra, and Angela, and all the team for working on that with us. And we have a mover and a seconder for that. Can we vote on it? All in favor? Thank you very much, and thank you, Alison, again. We move to we have an update for a septic permit issued, and I think it's number G on the agenda, and it's Alison again from page 30 to 31.
Yes, so we have our 3 approvals reports here, and Jeff will deliver the permits, and I will do septic and planning.
Okay.
So the first report for the sewage system permits issued is all of the permits issued in December of 2020. You'll note that we did hit a record high number of permits in 2020, and this also does not include our septic search program and renovation permits. With all permits included, we kind of smashed through our previous records, and we did not slow down in December. People were still banging down the door.
I agree with you. You can tell from the mapping and all the amount of septic application we received and we issued. So thank you very much for that report. Next.
Sorry, so on this report, we have the resolution.
Thank you. It is item 6G in the agenda, like update on site sewage permits issued. Recommendation, the SNC board director receive and file the on-site sewage permit issued update. I have a mover and a seconder, Catherine and Francois, and all in favor. Thank you. Next update is K, and we'll, I think it's Allison again.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. So this is our planning activity update for the month of December as well. Quite a few severance applications, also quite a few environmental impact technical reviews. So people were busy right up until the office closed December 24th. And I would also note that within the first 2 weeks of January, personally, I've already completed 7 pre-consultations for new development. So definitely not feeling our usual winter slowdown, seeing lots of exciting things coming for communities in the watershed, and lots of technical reviews keeping the engineer team busy as well.
Thank you, Allison. Any question? We have a recommendation. The SNC board director receive and file the planning activities update. I have Guy and Steve, and all in favor. Thank you. Request for approval permit issued, page 34 and 30 to 35. I think we have an update from Jeff. He's here with us today.
Yes, thank you, Chair DeRuse. I appreciate that. It's my usual housekeeping report that shows the permits that have been issued, in this case, since December 8th, 2020. I'll just echo what Allison said. A very busy year last year, lots of development, and we're looking forward to hopefully this similar in 2021. Thank you.
Thank you, Jeff. I know that we do have a recommendation, but I just like to give a comment. I know, like, if you look at those 3 items at the end of every agenda we have, and you can see the amount of application and works and the amount of permit that we've been issuing and we've been addressing. So kudos to our staff. I know that for this difficult time and those consultation and all the work that you have to do between engineering and issuing application, the work haven't stopped. So thank you very much. I know that the board, I echoed, me and the board, we appreciate all the work you've been doing under the management of Angela. It is very difficult time, and you guys doing amazing job. So thank you. We can move to the recommendation is the SNC board directors approve permits 1 to 8 issued under Ontario Regulation 170/06 development interference with wetlands and alterations to shorelines and water courses. Can I have a mover and a seconder? I see Michael and I see Bill. All in favor? Thank you. Oh, Bill, go ahead. Sorry. You have a question?
Yes, Mr. Chair. Before you leave this area, I intended to ask this of John before he gets away.
Yes.
There used to be a virtual tour video of the South Nation River from beginning to end. And I was looking for it the other day and I couldn't locate it. Is it still available?
Thanks for the comment, Bill. It's still available on our YouTube channel, though it is rather dated. If I get the chance, I'll circulate that around and see if we can get an update to that video.
Thank you.
That might be one of our original videos that might not meet the design standards of the rest of our videos we have online right now.
So will it be updated? Because I really enjoyed going through it a few times.
Certainly, of course.
Thank you.
Thank you, Bill. And John, make sure if you need any shots or video, call Bill. He'll come and participate.
We'd love to have him out.
Thank you very much, Bill. We move to number 7, financial reports. And it is page 36 to 37, the request of approval, Conservation Ontario levy. Recommendation, the board directors approve the payment of the 2021 Conservation Ontario levy 35,182 payable in 2 installments of $17,591. Mover and seconder, I see Pierre and Dana. And Carl, you have any comment or we're good?
Just a couple of notes especially for new board members, that Conservation Ontario is the provincial body that does a number of things at the provincial level for the conservation authorities of Ontario. They advocate on provincial matters, and they also coordinate some group things such as insurance purchasing and benefits, and some software purchasing as well, such as the mapping software that we use. So those are just a few of the roles that that they play and that this levy goes towards.
And thank you very much, Carl. And just to add that we do have a 4 meeting and the executives attend with the general manager. We attend quarterly those meetings, and we bring some reports and back some conversation, and we share some information collectively with Conservation Ontario. So if anybody have a question or comment, Angela's open to answer your questions. And Carl. Seeing none, all in favor? Thank you very much, Carl. Motion carried.
Thank you.
We move to 7B. It's on page 38 to 39 on your agenda. Request for approval, additional tree seedling, and recommendation. The board directors approve the purchase of additional tree seedling for over-the-counter and 50 million tree program refill sites at approximately 50,000 plus HST, and further that the board directors approve the sole source purchase of additional 2021 tree seedling from Ferguson Tree Nursery or from other Forest Ontario approved nurseries if stock is not available locally at Ferguson Tree Nursery. And can I have a mover and seconder before we open discussion? I see Bill and John. Any question? And I think Rhonda, you have any comment or you want to highlight this?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. So again, each year we come to the Board of Directors with requests for approval to purchase seedlings for planting the next spring. So back in June of 2020, we did have approval in place for an upset limit of 135,000 plus HST. That was based on approximately 170,000 seedlings estimated at that time. Like the development, the forestry team has not slowed down at all this year. We had a record number of site visits from our forestry staff to landowners interested in planting trees this spring. So you'll see in the report, we're up around 220,000 trees ordered to date, which is fantastic news. That, however, though, increases the cost to purchase the tree seedlings to meet that orders. So our new estimate is 185,000 plus HST. So I'm coming to you today for approval for the additional 50,000 to purchase the remaining trees required to meet those orders. Just a note that the trees covered by the property owners and our Forest Ontario subsidy. So it is a cost recovery on the sale of those trees. Also, just a note on the request for the sole source for the benefit of any new board members. We do try to purchase seeds that are from our local seed zone. So that would be the Ferguson Nursery in Kemptville. We also have 3 other nurseries within the province that Forest Ontario has approved as suppliers for the 50 million tree program. So we source as much as possible from the Kemptville nursery, and when they're unable to meet stock requirements, we will go to one of the other 3 approved nurseries in the province for the remaining stock.
Thank you very much, Rhonda, for the presentation and explanation. Any board member have a question or John? Bill?
Yeah. These trees were purchased, and I assume that these are part of these trees are the ones that were purchased and distributed through to the townships for our delivery we made in the fall.
So this resolution actually is for our over-the-counter and 50 million tree program. We do have separate funding approval through John's program for the municipal tree giveaway partnership that we have, and we do have that budget again to proceed this spring. So again, we'll be ordering as much nursery stock as possible from Ferguson for that tree giveaway, and if we need to source from one of the other Ontario nurseries, we will.
So can the townships increase the number of trees we require from you, or can we purchase more trees from you? What's the program?
So we've budgeted $500 per municipality, and if your municipality is interested in increasing that, then I'm sure John would be pleased to have a conversation with you regarding that.
Certainly.
All right, I appreciate having a conversation with him because this was a very high uptake last year in our township. I think we started handing them out at 8 o'clock and they were all gone by 8:45. So we were very anxious to be further involved with it with you.
We appreciate that. Thank you.
I agree with you, John. This is very good program. A resident, it was well received everywhere in the communities across in our watershed. So I'm sure John will have will call you, will have a conversation with you if you need more information and if you want to add or exceed more than the budget for that. So we're happy to listen and have a conversation.
All right, thank you.
Thank you very much. And Bill Smurl, you have your hand up.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I just want to agree with what you've just said and say that I'm really pleased to see the increase in the number of people and the education that has helped people understand the importance of planting trees. And I'm really pleased to hear from John that municipalities are looking for additional trees. So I think congratulations to all of us for good advertising and understanding the value of tree planting. Thank you.
Thank you, Bill. I agree with you. And any other comment or question for Rhonda? Okay, we have a recommendation in front of us, and it was mover and seconder. We already all in favor? Thank you very much, Rhonda. Motion carried. Next item is 7C, and it is on it's on the agenda. Page 40 to 45, request for a free approval of Eastern Ontario Leather Acquisition. Recommendation Board Directors receive and file the Eastern Ontario Leather Report, and further that the Board Directors approve issuing a request for information to leather vendors prior issuing a public tender for the multi-year Eastern Ontario Leather Acquisition, and further that the result of the public tender be brought back to the Board Directors for review and awarding of the tender. I have Michael and Catherine moving and seconder, and I'll open for Rhonda again.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. A number of years ago, we completed a successful partnership to acquire LiDAR, which is light detecting and ranging data. This is very accurate, high-resolution topographical information. The municipalities along the St. Lawrence River, along with conservation authorities and a few industry partners, acquired the LiDAR, and it was a fantastic partnership. Based on that, we've had a number of municipalities and conservation authorities in Eastern Ontario interested in filling in the gaps where we're missing LiDAR data. So what the LiDAR allows us to do with that very accurate topographical information is to work on things like our floodplain mapping, to help with pre-consultation on development reviews, to update our hydrogeosphere model that we use for flood forecasting and warning. And it also has an added benefit to municipalities when it comes to enhancing their emergency management, programs. So we have interest from 5 conservation authorities, which encompasses about 50 municipalities, spanning from Cataraqui, Rideau Valley, Mississippi Valley, Raisin Region, and ourselves, interested in acquiring LiDAR for the areas that we currently don't have coverage or we have out-of-date coverage. So this covers an area of almost 13,000 square kilometers in Eastern Ontario. And there is benefits to partnering with municipalities and conservation authorities to acquire this data, because the larger the area that we fly with a consultant, the cheaper the price for LiDAR. The timing was also right. You may recall from the December meeting that we submitted 5 applications to the National Disaster Mitigation Program under their Intake 6. One of them did include data acquisition for this LiDAR coverage in 3 of the Conservation Authority areas, ourselves, Mississippi, and Rideau Conservation Area. If we're successful in receiving that National Disaster Mitigation Program funding, it will reduce the cost by about 50% for those areas and allow us to acquire the data hopefully in 2021 to meet program guidelines requirements under the National Disaster Mitigation Program. As you can imagine, given the large size of the area and the number of partners, this is going to be a large acquisition cost to acquire the data. So in compliance with our purchasing policy, we are bringing to you a request on our methodology for securing a vendor to fly that LiDAR over the next several years. So the cost can be somewhere in the neighborhood of 800 to 900,000 for the total area, and that would be over several years acquiring the data. We do have $250,000 currently in budget, and again, some of that cost would be offset if we're successful receiving National Disaster Mitigation Program funding. What we'd like to do, given the complexity of the project and the size of the area that needs to be flown over the next several years, is a 2-stage process in order to obtain a vendor. The first being a request for informations, where we could put out a draft of specifications for flying that area to be able to get some industry feedback. That will provide us with some information from industry experts on how best to proceed with the acquisition of the data, where there are cost efficiencies and things like that. That will then allow us to refine that specification before we go out to public tender. The public tender, once the results are in, then we come back to this board for final approval and awarding of the contract.
Thank you very much, Rhonda. This is a very important item that we're really discussing it, and we've been talking about it since last year. And I know that we had a lot of questions from board members around it, but there is a full report in your agenda from page 40 to 45, and you can see the interest in many municipalities and the tools that we need for us to be able delivering those services. So I'm very happy to support that, very happy to support staff and your effort working with other municipalities in partnership for making this project successful. So thank you very much. I do have Steve have a question, I'm assuming.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. Yeah, great initiative. My question is more around the data that's collected. Who owns that data, and have we ever considered, or is part of the process, making that available, i.e. selling it to other entities such as Google Maps and getting some cost recovery on some of this? Has that ever been considered as part of the planning on that, and is it even possible?
So we would own the data. So I'll start answering and then I'll pass to Sandra to add anything that I may miss. So what we would have as part of this project with all of our partners is agreements that would include data sharing and management of that data. So once we purchase it from the vendor, we would own it. I will pass to Sandra for any comments on further use and sharing and how that works for data sharing agreements.
So thank you, Rhonda. 2 things to keep in mind here. If we get 50% of the money from Public Safety Canada under the National Disaster Mitigation Program, the data is going to be made available publicly. So it's going to be public. So the portion of the data that we recover is whenever we have to do the analysis of the data. So most of the time when we receive this cloud of data and we prepare different contours from that data, the data will belong to South Nation. So whenever somebody approaches us and it says that they want the analyzed data, the contours, then we will charge. And we do charge on all the data every time that they call us for any other data too. So the charge is approved by the Board of Directors in, I think it's Section D of our fee schedule. And there is a charge for the staff time that, to prepare what they are asking for. That's what we charge.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Thank you. And that makes a lot of sense. It makes a lot of sense if people need data, if you want to share the data or not. So, Steve, thanks for your question. Any other question or comment for Rhonda or Sandra? I see none, and we do have a mover and seconder. All in favor? Thank you very much. Motion carried.
Thank you.
Next, it is agenda item 7D, page 4649, request for approval, money received and disbursement registered for December 2020. A recommendation the board directors receive and file the money received report for December 2020, and further that the board approve the disbursement register of 723,788.06 cents for December 2020. And I have a mover and a seconder, see Francois and Pierre. And Carl, any comment? We're good.
Just for the new board members, that this is the regular report we bring every month, and it's your chance to review and provide oversight on our financial expenditures and money received. Thank you.
And you have full report into your agenda. Every item and every dollar has been spent, so you have a full report in the agenda.
That's right.
Any question or all in favor? Thank you very much. Approve, move a motion approve. So next is item, I know we have a supplementary agenda, but we'll deal with it, I guess, after. Item 9, page 50 to 51, we have a letter, Minister of Agriculture, Food and Rural Affairs Drainage Act Amendment.
Mr. Chair, just for information, we had the report already. It was just when we circulated the agenda, there were still some of the sessions that hadn't happened, and just wanted to make sure that the municipalities had that information.
And this is for information and distribution, I'm assuming, Angela?
That is correct.
Thank you. Any question? Thank you. Date of upcoming meetings, third Thursday at 9 a.m. unless indicated otherwise. February 18, 2021 and 2021 OGRA virtual conference, February 2022 and 25. Obviously, most of you know that most of our meeting right now held virtually. Also March 18, 2021 annual general meeting. And also we have an April 15 in 2021 and May 20, 2021. So you want to take note of those, put them on your calendar. We appreciate that. Agenda item 11, further motion, board or discussion of SNC issue. This is the time if anyone have an item you want to discuss or a question or anything or further motion, it's the time to put it out on around the table, and that's for the new member. Just this is a normal practice. Every meeting you'll have an opportunity if you want to share a motion or have a discussion at the end of the meeting. We'll have those. We'll have this time right now to discuss them. Seeing none. Thank you. Next item, we do have. We have to move to closed session. Most the board directors, you received a link from Carl, I'm assuming, and the recommendation board director meeting move into closed session for the following report: request for approval land acquisition, request for approval hazard lands acquisitions. A mover and a seconder. I see Bill and Dana and Bill. All in favor? So we're gonna, Angela, it's 10:49 now. We
Yes.
give the board member 5 minutes. Is that okay, or?
That is fine, Mr. Chair. So just for the benefit of those listening, and we'll go over two things. One, for members listening, we're going into closed session to discuss matters dealing with land and land acquisition, which is the reason to go into closed. And the second item is maybe Carl, can you give us, if you're there, Carl, a quick overview for new board members on the process for leaving this session and going into the closed session?
Yes, of course. So 2 links were sent out. One said closed session and the other said just regular meeting. So there are 2 separate Teams meetings links. We leave this meeting running and streaming publicly. So all members should leave this meeting and rejoin on the other link, which said closed. If any problems connecting, reach out to myself or Diane, and we'll get you connected into that closed meeting.
Thank you, Carl. And also to mention, we will, for the listener and for the board member, we will not make any decision, or it will be only information, and we'll be back on open session if there is a motion or approval of any kind.
That is correct.
Okay, and I see Bill have his hands up.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I just want to say that I believe you've run a very effective and efficient meeting. We've covered a heck of a lot of items and given lots of opportunity for input. So thank you for the way you've done it.
Thank you, Bill. I appreciate it. Staff has been working very hard to help me with that. So thank you for it. It's a team effort. So thank you. Francois.
Yes, thank you. Carl, can you send an invite for the closed session? I don't see it. Don't know where it is. If you could send another one, please.
I will send an email out in about 1 minute with the closed session link.
Thank you.
Thank you, Francois. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna join the private session at 11. It give enough opportunity and time for members to receive emails and be able to log in if you understand. Is that okay?
That's right. I will go in right away, and then we'll. So,
okay. See you at 11.
I'll greet anybody as soon as you're able to get in.
Thank you.
I have someone online with a question.
Oh, sorry.
I think it's me, Mr.
Sure who it
Chairman.
was. I did hear another voice.
Could Carl send me an invitation also, please? Thank you.
Okay. And okay, so we're all good now?
Yep, we'll get those invitations out and we'll see everybody in close. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mike Brown, I'm here.
Okay.
Just a reminder that we are still live streaming as members drop back into the open meeting. Thank you.
Carl, as you look through the attendance, have we almost all of the board back?
Getting there, yeah.
Okay.
I'm here.
George is back. Chair Drews is back. Do we need a roll call, or are we?
Let me take a look at here. I think I have everyone. I see Catherine. I see Joe, Jerry, Dana, and Pierre. Pierre's not here yet. Yeah, Pierre joined.
And Bill?
And not yet.
If you click on the show participants section, you'll see everybody that's actually in the meeting.
Yeah, I haven't seen Bill yet. So.
I'm here, Mr. Chair, Mike Brown.
Yeah, Mike, I see you. And Steve's here. Francois here. So we're only missing Bill.
Okay, if we're ready to proceed, we can receive a motion.
Yep.
And we're looking for a motion right now, Mr. Chair, that the Board of Directors move back into open session.
So moved, Mr. Chair, Mike Brown.
Mike Brown and Francois, all in favor?
Thank you.
Okay, we're in open session.
Okay, and the first matter of business.
So we have a recommendation, Board of Directors approve the acquisition of property number 1 to an upset limit as discussed, plus ancillary costs. Can I have a mover and a seconder, please?
So moved, Francois.
Francois, seconded by Pierre. All in favor? Motion carry. Angela, it's so after the discussion also we have another recommendation. I will wait till they come up on board.
Okay. I can read this one, Mr. Chair. Is this one up?
Yeah.
The second recommendation for supplemental item is that the Board of Directors approve the acquisition of property number 2 and 3 to an upset limit as discussed, plus ancillary costs, and further that the Board of Directors approve the transfer of reserve funds to acquire the properties 2 and 3.
Perfect. Thank you very much, Angela. I have
so moved, Mr. Chair.
Okay.
Mike Brown.
Yeah. Michael and Jerry. And all in favor? Perfect. I see all. Motion carried, Angela. So I think that's all the business item we have before we adjourn.
It looks that way, Mr. Chair.
I do like to take one moment to thank Mayor Desjardins and welcome Councillor Hunter. And I'll give you a moment if you like to introduce yourself and say hi to the board, and because we missed you at the first round when I called you.
Mayor Desjardins didn't rejoin the meeting. I just resent the link to him, so I'm not sure if we'll get him back on in time.
That's fine, but I'd like to give the floor to Mr. Hunter if.
Well, I guess I've been a councillor in Edgersburg Cardinal. This is my 5th or 6th term on there over the last 40 years. I've been a farmer all my life. I also operate a fairly large sugar bush and pancake house off County Road 21. We've been involved with South Nation over the years for marking our bush and one thing and another. And we're quite glad to be sitting on the board here. As we mentioned, we have some interest between the township and South Nation over the next few years that I think will be beneficial to both of us if we can work it out. So glad to be here.
Well, thank you very much, John. We're looking forward to work with you. We really appreciate your contribution before and to the future to be part of the board. So we appreciate it and we welcome.
Thank you.
Okay, the board director and the board director meeting of January 2021 be adjourned at 12 o'clock, right to the pin. Thank you very much, board member and everyone and staff. Thank you very much for making this happen, and hopefully you'll have a safe and try to keep stay away from that wicked virus. So thank you very much, all.
Okay.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair.
Yeah,
Thank you,
I
everyone.
try not to crash
you.
through the ice too, okay?
I try not to. I'm still safe when I
Okay.
travel.
See ya.
Thank you.
Happy New Year, everybody.